All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Movie News Podcast, which is the kind of collaborative podcast between me, Film Haven Reviews, and Matt from the Movie Podium.
Hi, welcome.
Let's just get the plugs out of the way since we're here. You can find me right now on Instagram. You can find us on Instagram Live. But we're doing a live episode this time, which is kind of cool. I figured since this is kind of a live setting anyway, just the way we're talking, it just seems like it makes more sense to maybe do a stream version. That way you can almost be like a TV show. You watch it like a broadcast.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah. But yeah, so you can catch me on Spotify or Instagram or wherever you find your podcasts, just Film Haven Reviews. That's me. And then Matt.
This is Matt from the Movie Podium. What's up, everybody? Very excited to break down some news this month.
Yeah. So we got a lot of show to get to, like lots of show to get to. So try to get this done in maybe an hour. So we got plenty to talk about. So first thing I wanted to do was start with of course, we got our top stories. Let's put our little thank you Canva for this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then first thing we got is updates, actually. So if you've been listening to any of the other episodes, for the first episode we talked about Zach Krieger doing a Resident Evil remake that at the time there was like a bidding war for who was going to pick it up, and there was some big money involved.
Yeah.
So we actually have some news on this. This comes from Deadline. Is exclusive. He is actually now going with Sony. So interesting. I don't know how I feel about that exactly. I trust Zach Krieger because, of course, for those of you that don't know, he directed Barbarian, which was a very good movie and did very well.
Movie.
So seeing him and with Sony is interesting because Sony with IPs have kind of a bad history. Obviously, we've had a really
Spider-Man.
bad. The Sony Spider-Verse or villain Spider-Verse has been pretty bad. Obviously, we've got Morbius, and then what was the recent one? Kraven the Hunter. That one terrible.
Oh my God.
Madam Web got a bunch of
Madam
Razzies.
Web, yeah. Yep.
They've got a really bad track record, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But in some surprising news, this is actually kind of breaking news. I saw this just yesterday. Mikey Madison has been offered a role. Wow. So that's pretty crazy. So she, considering she just got an Oscar, and for her to kind of move into the horror realm right after this, obviously this is not her first time because she was in Scream. That was the first time I think I'd ever seen her, Scream 5. So she was a big role in that movie. So that's not too weird, but at the same time, going right off of getting an Oscar and then going into a movie that's a horror movie, Resident Evil, which has a very checkered past in and of itself as an IP.
Yeah, that's pretty neat, and I'm curious how she'll do. I would have thought someone that came to my mind was Kaylee Spaney from the Romulus movie. I could have seen someone like that doing it. So I wonder if she'll follow into her footsteps there.
Definitely. I was actually thinking about her because I was thinking like, okay, it's kind of a similar change. I mean, Kaylee Spaney was, she has a really diverse career so far with being Priscilla and then being in Civil War, which is like a very on the ground kind of tactical, drama of sorts. And then you've got being an alien Romulus. Like that's just three very different movies. And so I think Mikey Madsen is trying to do the same thing. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Also, just by the way, Screen Thrill is where I'm getting this from. And I just wanted to shout that Instagram account out because that's where I get like a good amount of at least my leads, if that makes sense.
I've never heard of it.
I would definitely follow them. They're a pretty popular account, but I'll do some more research afterwards. But I would say probably 60-70% of where I'm getting kind of like my headlines, I'll just see them coming up. I try not to use them too much, but as you'll see in the future on this episode, there's going to be a lot of Screen Thrill stuff. So next thing, speaking of Screen Thrill, we've actually got, as far as updates go, we've actually got pictures of the Toxic Avenger. We see the costume for Peter Dinklage, and so I don't know. He's the guy.
He's the main character in that.
He's going to be the main character.
Wow, how are they going to shoot that? I mean, a lot of from underneath, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can see it. They already got some underneath. Yeah, there's an underneath shot right here at the bottom.
Yep. Wow,
very
that's awesome.
interesting. I don't know how I feel about the costume. Some people are really hating on it. Some people are really liking it.
I mean, it's not like bright and bold. Which I kind of think of when I think of Toxic Avenger. Right. So I'm not sure how I feel. That's the first time I'd seen it, honestly. So, my initial reaction is that it is kind of rough.
Yeah, I mean, we are also seeing these are set photos, like we got to think about
Oh,
that a
good
little
point.
bit.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see like the prosthetics on his arms and stuff. It's a little hokey. It's giving me like Secret of the Ooze, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle
Yeah, and
vibes.
oh, for sure, and I get that that's kind of the origins of Toxic Avenger is that vibe,
Yeah,
right?
oh, for
The
sure.
corny vibe,
Hokey, corny, yeah.
but it still doesn't feel, I mean, it feels like, again, from that first one, I always think of how bright the colors
Right.
are, and it's almost too over the top. Well, that one, like, almost like they tried too hard to be
Yes,
that
they're
way.
trying really hard. I definitely get that sense as well, and considering that the movie was, like, supposed to be released or is, like, maybe even finished in
Yeah.
2023 and then had all these issues where it's getting hung up in production and
Mm.
whether they're gonna release it or not, that's never a good sign because it's like, are they looking at it and they're like, "This movie is not so good. What do we do with it?"
Something's
So
going on. Yep.
right. Something is
Agreed.
going on for sure. But that's it for the updates. Let's get into the actual news. And this
Mhm.
one's been a long time coming just because there's been so yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, let's
There's been
go.
so much on this. And for most people who are following any kind of major movie news that already know this is happening. But Christopher Nolan, he's on set, he's making the
Yep.
Odyssey. We're seeing it.
Huge, huge.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I'm seeing so many videos of different things. They're filming in Morocco for the opening scene. They've been on this island in Sicily, off Sicily, that is apparently supposed to be like where the cave of the Cyclops is supposed to come from in the first place, from like the original
That's cool.
story.
That's
So
awesome.
it's
Good for
very,
them.
very Chris Nolan coded for sure, where it's like
Mm.
if we're gonna do this fantasy movie, we're gonna do it hard and we're gonna do it exactly as well as we can, most practical way and in the most realistic way as well. So it makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I know that we have such a stacked cast.
Oh my
Do we
god.
know who plays who? Like,
So I'm glad
has
that you
that
said
been
that.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
getting and there's another set piece for Tom Holland in there,
Oh, cool.
and like I was talking about the Cyclops there, we have the Cyclops is actually going to be practical. So,
Oh,
which is
awesome. Very
really
cool.
wild to think about that.
Yeah,
Apparently,
very
the
cool.
head is as tall as a man. One more casting what if, speaking of casts, which
Sure.
is Robert Downey Jr. was supposed to be
Mm.
Poseidon, but
Wow.
he couldn't be because he had scheduling conflicts due to being Doctor Doom for Avengers: Secret Wars. So
I feel like I like the other one better.
yeah,
I would pick the Odyssey, to be honest.
I
He's
think
already
everyone
been
can agree.
yeah,
Nobody
he's
liked
already
it.
been an
Nobody liked it.
Avenger.
Nobody
He's
liked
already in, like, he's already an Avenger.
it. He
That
was
whole
Iron
thing is
Man. I think
goofy.
there is some weird like storyline in the comics, maybe
I'm
somewhere
sure.
where Iron Man
It
becomes Doctor
all
Doom.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course. I'm
I'm like,
sure.
how does that work? But multiverse is a thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
back to
go on.
the cast. No,
Yeah.
I was gonna say back to the cast. So, for instance, do we know who Cyclops is, or has that
Oh,
not
we
been
don't know that
revealed?
one, but I do
I
have,
kinda like it.
it's a stacked cast, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
do know the first, like, 5 or 6 has been now named here. So we have Matt Damon, obviously,
Yep,
as Odysseus.
yep.
Tom Holland is, Telemachus, who I can't
Mm.
remember his character, and I don't know if he's the son or what. And then we
Yeah.
have Zendaya is Athena. So we have Tom
Cool.
Holland and Zendaya. We have the power couple in the same
Yeah.
movie,
That's crazy.
which I guess is not too crazy considering they were Mary Jane and Peter Parker, but
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
then we
But
have
they
a
met on set then, so that's not
right.
nec like, that's natural
That
or
makes sense, that
normal.
makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
this is like a return to screen. Then we
Yeah,
have Charlize Theron as Cersei. I think that's well cast. I think this
definitely.
one's well cast too. Anne Hathaway as
Ooh,
Penelope.
I like that.
Even if you
Yeah,
look at the classical renditions, they do look similar. I mean, it makes sense.
very.
And I think that she's like maybe of the age now because she's a little older now that it's like kind of fits right because she's supposed
Yeah,
to be a little bit older.
yep.
And then we have Benny Safdie as King Agamemnon. So this is from the movie Troy, of course, where
Mm.
what's his name? Brian Cox played Agamemnon, and I thought he did a great job in that. And I read a Screen Rant article. I don't have a clip here for it, but where they talked about how this actually might end up being a really great sequel to Troy. Uh,
Oh, that's funny.
so the intro is done in I know that the intro scene is done in Morocco, but they also
Mm.
there's been pictures of the horse, the Trojan horse.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that
Like a real one, right?
right, like a real one. What that indicates though is obviously the Odyssey picks up where the Iliad let's where the end of the Trojan War is when the Odyssey starts. It's
Yep.
basically Odysseus coming home from
Right.
the Trojan War.
From
And
war.
so
Yep.
if they've got the Trojan horse, it means that they're pretty much going to lead from there on. That's the end, that's the beginning point, is
Cool.
the end of the Trojan War.
Right.
So makes
Right.
sense that it would be kind of a sequel to Troy. A lot of people
Yeah.
didn't like Troy, but I definitely, as a kid, I loved Troy.
Oh, it was
So
awesome when we were kids.
yeah, I
And,
mean,
like, cool action, and Brad Pitt was awesome. I
Brad
mean,
Pitt, and I mean,
cool movie.
talk about a stacked cast. I mean, you had
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
yeah, what's his name? Oh my god, I'm blinking. But so many people.
Yep.
Anyways, so that being said, we see Benny Safdie, Anne Hathaway, Matt
Orlando
Damon.
Bloom was who
Orlando
I was
Bloom,
thinking
thank
of.
you,
Yeah,
thank you.
he's
Yeah, he
awesome in
played
that. I was
Paris.
like,
Is great in that.
yeah.
Diane
Yep.
Kruger. I mean,
Yeah, Diane Kruger.
never
She's awesome.
stops. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting that Anne Hathaway, Benny Safdie, Matt Damon, these are all returning guys, right? And then
Yeah.
just to that's just a few of them. I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
down the list of the ones that
Yeah.
we don't even know yet. Robert
Yeah.
Pattinson, of course, he was in Tenet. That's definitely, so it's like
Okay.
people coming back. John Bernthal, that's
Love him.
huge.
Walking Dead.
Right. Elliot Page,
Yeah, they're coming back.
and that's coming back too from Inception. And then
Yep.
Mia Goth, which that's a huge one for me. Love
Nice.
Mia Goth so much. Allie and
Yeah.
we are big Mia Goth fans.
Nice.
And hey, I could see I'm not used to doing live. Hey, Emily, we had a friend of mine come on. So,
Oh, awesome.
yeah. So yeah, we got Mia Goth, who's great. Allie and I really love her in so many different movies, but of course in the X trilogy. And then Lupita Nyong'o. I have the hardest time saying her name, but people know her from so many different things.
Lupita, that's what I know.
Yeah, Lupita, yes. Cosmo Jarvis. Now this one's interesting because I haven't really seen much of what he's in, but he's the main character in Shogun, which is
okay.
huge show. So he's obviously kind of going up. This is a fun one. John Leguizamo is in there, which we love. We love John Leguizamo.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's interesting. I did hear a quote from him saying that he feels like because this is maybe his first time filming with Chris Nolan, and he says
his first time filming a real movie. This isn't Super Mario Brothers,
right? Super Mario Brothers or the Spawn movie
or Spawn. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, he was. He said that it's like filming a independent film with like a massive budget.
Crazy.
And so yeah, I think I thought it was a really interesting kind of way of looking at it, because you look at, say, Disney movies, as we'll talk about in a little bit, and that like bloated production, so much money coming into this, and you think the budget's not being used well. Whereas you look at Chris Nolan, he gets some money finally, and what does he do with it? He makes an incredible movie with it. So this is the biggest budget he's ever had, and he's going to use it.
What is the budget? Do you know?
I actually don't know that offhand. I should have had that prepared, but
I'm curious.
It is interesting. I know it's the biggest budget he's ever had, and it makes sense since he's doing so much globetrotting, and everything's all practical. I did see a video of what looked like all these walls, because they had this old fort that they were filming on, and this guy that lived in the town that they were filming in, and I think it was in Sicily. He was looking at he said they put some flags up to make it look like it was still being occupied, and then he said they put all these fake walls up, and I swear to God, it looked real. I was like, how are those fake? And then he pans the camera over, and it's totally like, think like the old Westerns, where they just put the front up and behind is just like a cardboard, and you're like,
right. That's so cool.
It's crazy. It looked like it was inside the rock. Like the wall looked perfect. And I'm like, that's so Chris Nolan coded.
Oh, that's awesome. So 250 million is the approximate budget.
That is huge. I mean, that's as big as a Disney production. So to see him have that, and with he's always kind of, I did hear recently an interview with him where someone was asking, like, what do you think about budget versus like craft, basically? And he said, I've always crafted the film based on the budget. So his first movie, The Following, was a very small movie he made.
Very short movie too, right? Only about an hour long.
Yeah, and he made it with friends. They did it on the weekends. They made it for no money. And he said, when I wrote the script for that movie, I wrote that with that in mind.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
Like one setting, like black and white.
Exactly. It's
all
very
dialogue based. Yeah. Yep. It's a great movie, but that's exactly, it makes sense.
And so it to me, I feel like it bodes well for this film, because this is the first time he's ever done a period piece this far back. What's the farthest back? the magic movie. What was
Mm.
it called?
Oh, yeah, The Prestige.
Prestige. Yeah, I think that's about as far back as he's gone that I can think of.
Wow, yeah, I think you're right.
So
Because the
going
other one that I
ancient,
was thinking would be his most recent one, but that was,
right? Like the
1930s,
40s. Yeah,
40s, right.
exactly.
Wow, so
So
you're probably right, Prestige, but Prestige was like,
it's
yeah,
1800s,
1800s.
late
Yep,
1800s. Tesla was
late.
in it, so you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But so this year, this goes to show that not this
it's
year,
gonna
but
be
next year,
huge. Yeah, next
2026.
year.
I have a picture here also from Screen Thrill. All these filmmakers are making movies in
Wow,
2026.
that's crazy.
Denis
Very exciting.
Villeneuve, Chris
Yep.
Nolan, Steven Spielberg, Jordan Peele, Robert Eggers,
What's
and
what's Spielberg doing?
oh, I don't know, probably something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't even remember I'm trying to think what Spielberg's doing.
Greta Gerwig is in charge of a huge project right now that I didn't have time to put in for the news, but she had this huge bidding war with Netflix
Oh,
and
really?
for exclusive rights because she's doing the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, that's right. She's
It's
redoing it, right?
yeah,
I'm not sure why it needs I thought they were good movies, like, do we
yeah.
really need a redo?
No, but she says
But
she's gonna do it different. And Greta
okay.
Gerwig, I mean, she has adapted a lot of stuff. I guess Lady Bird was a book, and then Little Women,
Mhm.
of
I like
course.
I like both those, yep.
Yeah, Little Women was also a book. Barbie, of course, is adapting an IP. So she knows how to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what I'm most excited for in 2026, though, is Evil Dead Burn.
Very nice.
And I knew there was going to be a trilogy because in the original remake, there's a Necronomicon, right? And then in the
Yep,
new Evil Dead Rise, they find a different book, and then they talk
yep,
about how there's 3 books. And I was like,
sure.
"Ooh,
Yeah,
that
of
is going
course.
to be a third one." And how cool for a trilogy! It's like an anthology series, basically, but
Yep,
it's all based in this overarching world where there's these 3 books that are all connected, books of the dead. And
of course.
so I don't know what anything about it. All I
I
know
was
is
gonna
that
say, is Sam Raimi attached to it at
he's
all? Is
definitely
Bruce
going to be
Campbell
he's definitely going to be producing. I mean, he produced Evil Dead Rise
Yeah,
and
he's
the
done he's
Evil
been
Dead
the
remake.
yeah, yep.
So he'll be involved for sure. And Evil Dead Rise did really well in theaters, and it was very well received. I didn't like it as much as Evil Dead the 2013, but I still really liked
It's
it.
okay.
I've seen it twice now. I enjoyed it both times. It's like a
Yeah,
type.
I need to rewatch it, to be honest.
It's the type of horror movie that feels like I don't know. I'm gonna do the what's his name Harry Styles thing where I'm like it's like a movie. It's like a
Yeah.
horror movie. Like it's like made
Yeah,
it just hits different when you watch some of these other horror movies that try to get different angles. Like
sure.
that movie is like a straightforward. If you want just a good, solid cinematic horror experience, here you go.
Yep.
All right, so
Yep.
next thing, this thing we have to talk about, and that is just
Oh my
how much of
god.
a bomb Snow White was.
Yeah, and oh my god, I
It's
cannot believe that just caught me in my tracks. Oh my
yeah,
god,
it's
lower
lower.
IMDb than
It's so okay. So
Annihilation.
check it here. It's 2.0, and that was about 2 weeks ago. It is now 1.5. It is
Wow.
lower
It's
at
that bad?
with 200 and for the 250,000 reviews,
Wow.
250,000 people were incensed enough to get onto IMDb and
Which is
write a
weird if you
review and
look at
rate
the
it.
Metascore.
Right. So I was actually talking to Allie about this. Here's a couple things going on.
Mhm.
One is the movie is aggressively mid. Sure, it's probably just like very fine.
It's fine.
It's
I bet
just
it's
like
fine.
it is a shot for shot remake of some. I'm sure, just like all the other ones, the
Yeah, oh, they're
original.
horrible.
Right. And then you got the meta narrative. So
Mhm.
and also Gal Gadot apparently just is a terrible actress. And the one song that she sings is just
Yeah,
bad,
really.
like Razzie bad.
Oh,
And
boy.
the another thing is Rachel Ziegler during the promotion was just, I mean, she was just getting too political straight up. Like she was just talking
Mm.
too much about the Palestinian Israeli thing, and it was just not. They were just doing a Disney promo, like. I'm sorry, like
Yeah,
I may even agree, but it's not. It's
yeah,
not the platform for it. So bad though. It's not even my opinion. It's so bad
yeah.
that the industry will not hire her anymore. Rachel
That's
Ziegler has
crazy.
no movie roles lined up, and I've looked on
Wow.
IMDb. Do you
Yeah.
usually see upcoming? It's not. There's
Mhm.
not a tab. There's literally not
Wow.
a tab.
I think you hit on something, though, about the meta, and there is that narrative, and people buy into it, no matter how, like it could be totally mid, it could even be
Yeah.
good, but if it gets in your head that someone else doesn't like it,
Yeah.
and then it trends on Instagram or any of these platforms where everybody is just trashing it,
Yeah.
you automatically think it's trash.
Yeah.
You might not even seen it. You might have went on IMDb just to trash it at
Yeah.
that point,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right?
that's definitely happened. Review bombing is a real thing, and I
Yeah, I
remember
believe
when
it.
Lightyear came out, that movie, and
Yeah.
it got review bombed so bad because people just heard that there was a lesbian kiss in it. They were like, "2 girls kiss. This is Disney is too
That's so
woke," which
sad.
that's
That's
sad
so
too.
sad.
But the thing about Snow White is that this is the rare time, like Amelia Perez, it reminds me of Amelia Perez, where everybody hates it, where it's like the Disney, like, heads
Yeah.
obsessed with Disney and live in Disney World and all that kind of stuff, they hate it because it's like a bastardization of the movie that they
Sure.
cherish, and
Yep.
then all the people who hate woke stuff hate it too because they're like, "Oh, Rachel
But
Ziegler isn't even really white, like Snow
yeah,
White would, and Gal Gadot's Israeli, like, what's going on here?" And, that doesn't even matter, of course, but it's
no,
still,
but
like,
I
everyone
get
hates it for different reasons.
yeah. It's kinda just yeah, all of that's just insane. It makes sense. I didn't have any expectations. I mean, to be honest, I don't think there's a single Disney live action movie that I like that's been a remake of a cartoon.
The
I
only
can't
one
think
that
of one.
The only one that I was okay with
Yeah.
was Guy Ritchie's, Aladdin. I was like, "This is fine."
Really?
Yeah,
No, I take that back. I fell asleep.
yeah.
I can't say I liked it.
I took my nephew to see it in the theaters, and I was like, "This is fine." I didn't
Yeah.
hate it. I just
Yeah,
didn't
sure.
I did feel like it was completely unnecessary, though. I mean, just go
I
watch
mean,
the
I
original.
feel
The
like they're
original was like a
all
10 times
unnecessary.
better.
Oh,
But so,
yeah.
once again, I was talking to Allie about this, and I looked up the budget and the money they make. On this one, it's not making good money
Ugh.
at all, but
Sure.
I think it might be the first one they did, maybe not, The Lion King. When
Mhm.
they did The Lion King, that
Yeah.
made so much money, even though the reviews were very similar. It's probably got a 56 Metascore. Like, it's not much different,
Sure.
but
Sure.
it just made bank because you're just going off of the name brand. You're like, "Okay,
Yeah. I
they
mean,
know that this movie that exists. Everyone's watched it their whole life, so
yep.
they're gonna see it."
I mean, case in point, not joking, like, yeah, I think it was yesterday, we were flipping through the streaming platforms, and, of course, my kid comes up and says or he's flipping through and he goes, "Oh, Mufasa," and he's like,
Uh,
"Oh, it's on Disney now." And so for the last 2 days, all we've talked about is how he wants to see Mufasa. And I'm like,
come
like, but
on.
there's that
Yeah.
brand name recognition,
They're
right?
pandering to kids,
Yeah,
which is fine
it's
because
fine. I mean, it's
kids are
we had the same thing when we were kids.
in our
No
own
different.
ways. We grew up in the heyday of 90s toys where they made the toys and then they made the
Yeah.
shows based off the
Yeah,
toys.
we've talked about that with, like, Batman Forever,
Yeah,
like,
oh, yeah,
they're
exactly.
rushing to make a movie just to sell a toy. I mean,
Exactly.
it's and same with Willy Wonka. They made a movie so they could sell a chocolate bar. So
Right.
it is nothing new, but it's sad that, like, they
The
can't come up with
creativity.
yeah,
They can't come
exactly.
up with new stuff, and it's like, you know
Yep.
how to do it, you've done it, and it makes me think
Yeah,
that
I know.
they're just
Disney's
so
great in
bloated
some
they're
way.
so
Yeah.
bloated, and they're spending
Yep.
so much money per movie that they don't wanna take risks. It's the classic issue with
You're right. No
big
risk.
movie corporations when
Yep.
they're like, "Oh, we wanna make the safest bet possible to make the most money." It's not about the craft, it's about the money, which
Yeah, agreed.
obviously inherent in filmmaking is making money, of course, but when you have so much money on the line, the creativity takes the back seat, and that's just what's
Yeah,
happening.
and I will say, to their credit, Pixar is about the only unique thing they have going for them.
Yeah, yeah. Pixar
You
usually
know
does
what I
well.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
Pixar, most of their ideas and maybe they're not I mean, maybe they're stolen, whatever,
yeah,
but they're still not based off of something that's already been created by the exact
right.
same company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or if
That's
it is,
so
it's a
bad.
sequel, and that's fine because sequels are always a thing.
Right.
But, like, Pixar does do a good job of coming up with random stuff, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for
they
sure.
not every movie is a sequel, like, there's a Monster University, but
Soul, Inside Out, like, those movies
yeah.
were very unique when they came out,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. So I think they're hitting there, but you're
Mhm.
absolutely right. This, like, other side of it, the Marvel and the remakes, the
Yeah,
live action remakes, they are running out of ideas.
they are, and you can tell I think with this is a good thing that Snow White did so bad
Oh,
because it's
agreed.
maybe showing them, "Hey,
Scaring them
we're
away.
running out of fuel on this, like, we rode this out as far as we can, and it's not working anymore." So maybe it's a good thing. Maybe they'll change things up this time, because that is bad. For you to have a $250 million budget for a movie that gets 1.5 on IMDb
That's
is
lower than that's lower than Spice World.
Yeah. I
I
can't
love
think
how
of
you
the
had I cannot believe that was you found that article?
Yeah, it's from an actual
Mortal
Mortal Kombat
Kombat.
site. And they
I'm
thought
like,
that was
"Wait."
great, yeah.
I didn't even read the headline. All I saw was, the
Shao Kahn.
Shao Kahn and,
It's
can't
supposed to
remember her name.
be, Melania, I think,
Yeah,
possibly.
Katana's Princess
Yes.
Katana's mom.
Oh, that's right, yeah. That's crazy.
I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I read down, I'm like, "Oh my god, yeah, that definitely had a bad IMDb score."
Yeah. So, next things up, we have a new Starship Trooper remake
Yeah,
at
cool.
Sony once again. Yikes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but the director that they have is really good. It's, Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah,
Who
love him in District 9.
District 9 is one of the best sci-fi
Right.
movies ever made. Very
Yeah,
easily.
agreed.
Yeah. And
It
then
was him and Peter Jackson, right?
Yeah,
Produced
Peter
it?
Jackson produced it, yeah, and
Which
then
is
he directed
crazy,
it.
like, 'cause, I
Yeah.
mean, he had just come off with all the Lord of the Rings stuff, and then I
Mhm.
remember seeing District 9 with Peter Jackson's name
Yeah.
attached to it, and I was like, "Whoa, this
What
is
can't he
different."
do?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it has some of the best, special effects of any movie of all time, and it's like it wasn't like a huge budget. They actually did it on a
No,
pretty low
and it was
budget.
up for Best Picture, wasn't it?
I
Like, it
think
was
so.
that good of a
It was
sci-fi.
very well received, and I remember watching it
Yeah.
in the theaters and just, like, having my mind blown. And,
Yep.
then his follow-ups kept getting progressively worse.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
that
what
I
else
thought
did
that
he
they were that much
do?
bad. There was, speaking of Matt Damon, there was, Elysium.
Oh,
That
okay,
was his
not bad.
follow-up. It was a
Yeah,
fine
not
movie.
bad.
It
Yeah.
was not as good as District 9, but then there was
No.
Chappie with Hugh Jackman.
Oh, and that was okay. I
Once
actually didn't
again,
hate it.
didn't hate
Like,
it, but
I
it
saw it
was
in theaters, and it was mid.
people weren't so into those, and I think that's why he's kind of
Sure.
fallen off a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you even just look at this picture, it's giving District 9, right? Like,
Agreed,
I feel
agreed.
like this could be, and District I feel like with Chappie, even, he knows how to do a little camp. Like, he can kinda camp
Definitely
it
with
up a little
Chappie.
bit. And
Yeah.
so I think you mix those 2 things together, because Starship Troopers has a really unique vibe that
Yeah,
makes it's
agreed.
why it's a cult classic.
Yep.
And so I think if you can mix the gore of, like, alien gore, which he did well in District 9, with kind of the camaraderie of the Starship Troopers and a little bit of the kind of, campiness that they had, I think it could be a
Yeah.
really good mix.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't done that on our podcast, The Movie
Oh, I
Podium,
know.
because we love that like, we
Right.
all love that movie. It's a great campy,
It's a classic.
cult classic.
For sure.
Definitely need to rewatch that before this comes out.
Yes, that would be a good that'd be a good run up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up next, we have, Martin Scorsese and Leo DiCaprio attached to a Hawaii set crime film from Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt. So,
I don't know how I feel about this.
so The Rock is actually going to be the main character of this
Whoa.
movie. But from what I've read, and I was trying to find where I read this, but I couldn't find it. But it is apparently, I think, a real life Hawaiian mobster.
Okay.
And so it's a bit of a biopic.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, his
He grew up in
ties.
Hawaii. Yeah. He's
Yeah,
American Samoan,
exactly.
but he grew up in Hawaii.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it
Yep.
does make sense. And him and Emily Blunt have a really good relationship as well, both on the screen and off, because they were in Jungle Cruise together.
I didn't watch that, to be honest.
I've heard it's like a theme
There's
park.
a Disney movie off of a theme park. Yeah.
Yeah,
Off
there you
of
go.
the ride. I'm trying to think. So off of this, what's your favorite Rock movie or Dwayne Johnson?
Oh man, I've actually got a couple. But I used to be a huge Dwayne Johnson. Like, I didn't watch.
Really?
I know you're really into, WWE and stuff, but I just knew him. I knew him from being a kid, and can you smell what the Rock is cooking and all that kind of stuff. But I grew up watching. I loved the Mummy movies growing up, and the Mummy 2, Scorpion King. He was just in the beginning and at the end, but I loved him. And then there's a movie called there's Walking Tall. I remember that, and then there's The Rundown.
Okay,
that is like a hidden gem for me.
It is great.
I loved that movie, and it's like Indiana Jones a little bit, but then there's a scene at the end when he doesn't use guns, and then he's like completely surrounded by all these bad guys, and he's in the middle of this bus that's all broken down in
Yep.
Africa or whatever, and then
Oh,
he has these two
awesome.
shotguns next to him, and he's just like, all right, screw it, and then he just goes off, and it's like this crazy action scene. It's burned into my brain. I just love it.
No, that's a great one. I was curious if you'd say, or have you seen Southland Tales?
Oh, no,
Do you
but
remember that
I've
movie?
seen, one of my TV had it was a very good, YouTube not YouTube, Instagram account here, that does a lot of really middlebrow movies, and
Mhm.
he did that movie, and I saw some, like, pictures and stuff, and I was like, "Whoa, this is interesting," and he even posted a video. I'd never
Yeah.
seen it before, but
It's
I
my favorite rock movie, which is
interesting.
weird because of all the ones that you mentioned are awesome.
Yeah.
And, like, Gridiron Gang's not bad. I mean, he's been
He's been
I'm like
serious.
yeah, and I grew up of like you mentioned, he loved The Rock as a wrestler, and then I feel like a lot of his movie choices weren't necessarily reflecting what he
Right.
could do,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
he
his
did
range.
Southland
Yeah.
Tales, and you're like, "Wait, what is this?" I mean, that's with Justin Timberlake too.
Right, right.
They're great. I mean, I think it's really underrated. Now, it's really weird and bizarre and
Yeah,
takes
it's
some
actually
crazy
in
turns.
it's I think it's in the red in the the Metacritic,
Not
but I
surprising.
looked it up, but it looked way better than the
I
red in
really,
Metacritic.
really liked it. There's some
Yeah,
really great song moments too, which of course I'm a sucker for.
right.
So I think that's it. But if there's one movie I recommend from The Rock before watching this, because if I recall, he's like a cop or something in it.
Oh,
So
okay.
it kind of gives me the same vibes. So if
Yeah,
there's one movie, go check out Southland Tales.
put it on my list.
I
Yeah,
kind of
that
want to
sounds
watch it
good,
too
and I'm
again.
excited, to see this, especially too, we got Leo and Martin back together, so
Yeah, of
that's just
course.
good in its on and of itself, and,
Yep.
Leo's in a new movie with Paul Thomas Anderson. That trailer's been dropped. I forgot to put that.
Oh
We'll
shoot,
do it
really?
next time.
Yeah, we need to
There's
do that.
so
I
much
don't think I've
stuff.
seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it looks like
When
maybe even like a kind of reminds me of like Timothy McVeigh, like kind of, like those right wing militias. He's like
Oh,
almost like a part of
interesting.
that, or maybe
Now
a left wing militia. I'm not sure.
when was the last movie? What's the last movie PTA did?
He did the movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. What was that? In they're in the 70s. Oh my God, not Mystic Pizza. It's like something. What was it? I can't
One
remember the name.
Battle After Another?
No, it
Oh,
was.
that's the one with Leo. Okay.
Yes, the one before that
Oh,
then.
man, what
Had
is
Bradley Cooper in it.
oh, man, I'm blanking 'cause
Yeah,
I used to really like his movies.
yeah.
Oh, Licorice Pizza.
Licorice Pizza. I knew it was a
I
pizza.
love that movie.
Yeah, I thought that was
Oh, man, that
it's an
movie's
interesting
great.
movie for sure. I couldn't
Yeah,
we
true.
watched it, with our movie club, and we couldn't quite get over the fact that there's, like, this she's, like, older and he's, like, younger, and it's like there's a
Yeah, true.
predatory kind of
There's
I know
that's
he's acting older, but it's like,
yeah.
this is
That's interesting.
mm,
Maybe I'd feel that way. I watched it on my own, so, like,
right.
maybe I would if I would had somebody else having that commentary, I
There was
totally
definitely
see
funny
where you're
parts.
getting
Yeah.
at. But,
Bradley
oh,
Cooper
I
was
love
great
that
in that
movie.
when
Yeah,
Bradley
he is
Cooper was
good.
awesome.
Yep.
Anyway, the next thing we got speaking of Disney, Tron, there's a new Tron coming out, which
Uh,
I don't really care, but it is
no.
big news because
It's
Tron has
Tron 3? It's a
Tron
sequel?
3. It is.
Oh,
And
get
we got
outta
Greta
here.
Lee in it. The cast is actually very interesting. Jared Leto, Greta Lee, which she was great in Past Lives. That movie is awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And then Evan Peters, which is interesting because
Whoa.
he doesn't usually do stuff movie-wise other than Quicksilver
Sure.
for X-Men, but yeah, you usually just see him in Ryan Murphy stuff, so that's
Yep.
really interesting. And then Gillian Jacobs, of course, we got
Gillian Anderson, yeah.
yes,
Yep.
I said Gillian Anderson, that's right. And
Yeah.
then we have Glenn Powell. Oh wait, sorry. Glenn Powell is not in Tron.
Thank God.
Gillian
No.
Anderson from Scully and Mulder. All right,
X-Files,
so
yeah.
X-Files, thank you. So
Yep.
yeah, it's a stacked cast. I don't
Yeah.
really care too much. The Tron remake.
No.
I guess it was Tron 2, but Jeff Bridges is also in it. Of course he is.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
he's in the others. I just thought, that is technically big news, but I haven't really heard many people thinking about it.
Nah.
But people always care about like the kind of costumes and stuff, and these look kind of hokey to me,
Oh,
honestly.
they look goofy. They look like
Yeah.
a laser tag
Yeah.
somewhere, honestly.
Yeah.
Kinda rough. I
Yeah,
do see
so
Jared Leto though in the bottom right.
yeah, you see that there, and then, of course, Greta Lee
Wow.
over there, so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Huh.
not a that's why I put this too, is 'cause if you look at the bottom here, as a reminder, the score will be composed by Nine Inch Nails.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
not just Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails, so,
Hmm.
he usually does pretty good scores whenever
Yeah.
he
Great.
does do them,
Yeah, sure.
so, I think that could
Interesting.
maybe change it up a little
It's a
bit.
weird vibe for Disney.
Yeah, that is a weird vibe for Disney, but maybe they're trying to shake it up a little bit, who knows? I know
Hmm.
that they've owned Tron for a while, like, the remake was also Disney, so,
Yeah. Yep.
this speaking of Glenn Powell, let's go back to Glenn Powell. We got 2 Glenn Powell news here. First one
Mm.
is that he's in talks to potentially star in the new Texas
I'm very
Chainsaw Massacre.
this would be awesome.
It's so crazy to me because, he is on the top of his game. He's like the
Yeah.
leading man in every
Yep.
movie, and
Yep.
he's deciding to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Hell
remake.
yeah. I'm
I mean,
all for it.
I'm so for it. Obviously,
It
he's a
is
horror
crazy.
lover.
You're right. It's a crazy it reminds me of like a Jack Nicholson doing The Shining
Yes,
after like maybe
so many
Ordinary
movies
People,
in
maybe?
Chinatown, and I mean, he was really
I feel
not
like
like
Ordinary People was right before it, right?
I was just
I
talking
think
about his
so.
'70s run. I don't remember, but,
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was crazy
yeah,
for sure,
One
but,
Flew Over the
like
Cuckoo's Nest, and then
yeah,
doing
like, I think he
Chinatown, and
yeah, oh, I mean, for sure, I think, though, he did Ordinary People right before The Shining, so, like, this Best
big
Picture
switch.
right, Best Picture, wins Best Picture, all this stuff,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, he goes to that. That's cool, I'm really liking that. I didn't know that about, what's going on with that with Glen
Yeah,
Powell.
Allie and I just watched The Others, the Nicole Kidman movie, and,
Yeah.
she did that movie at the same time that she did Moulin
Oh,
Rouge.
yeah.
It was, like, the same
Right.
year, which is just like
Yeah.
those 2 movies couldn't be farther apart from each other. Which
Yeah, I like
she
when
almost
actors
didn't
are
wa
able to do that.
she almost didn't wanna do the movie because of that, but I think it ended up being a good thing for her career, honestly, because
Oh, yeah,
The
for
Others
sure.
is seen for as a lot of people as, like, a ghost mystery classic, so, but yeah, anyway, Glenn Powell the thing is that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remakes and the sequels, they haven't been big deals for a long time. I mean, the 2003 remake with Jessica Biel was,
Yeah.
like, very
It was
well received.
okay.
It was
It was
well
okay.
received as a
Yeah.
remake, but, the other than that, the first 2 are the only ones that anyone ever talks about and should. The 3rd one being really famous for having, Renee Zellweger and Matthew
Matthew
McConaughey
McConaughey. Yeah.
before they like, right before they blew up, which is
Yep.
really fun. But the fact that he's blown up and he's deciding to go here, I love it. And it seems like there's this
Same.
kind of like with Mikey Madison going to Resident Evil, it's like people on the top of their game going into horror. Like, I love this
Oh,
trend.
all
Let's keep this
for it.
going.
Yeah, all for it.
And
Yep.
also, he is they just wrapped with Edgar Wright. They just wrapped shooting of the Running Man remake.
Oh, whoa. I
Yeah,
didn't know that either.
yes, and they just
Whoa.
stopped. I mean, they just wrapped it up. So they've done shooting. It's all post now. And if anyone's gonna do the Running Man, like a remake of it, I think Edgar Wright is the perfect person to do it. Because he
For
did Scott
sure.
Pilgrim versus the World, and that in and of itself is just I think they're kind of not one to one, but they definitely make a lot of sense. He's even with you look at Baby Driver or any of the Ice Cream trilogy with Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the
Oh,
Dead and At World's End. They're
absolutely.
all very punchy and fast and entertaining and visually pleasing and I think that works really well for the Running Man. I love that movie for with with Arnold
Oh, same.
Schwarzenegger. Yeah,
Yeah, of course. Yep.
and
Great
it is
classic.
like it's
It's a
proto
cult classic
Hunger
for
Games
sure.
too. It's proto Hunger
Very
Games.
much. Yep.
So it's really
Very much.
interesting. I think a lot of the maybe the younger people that like Hunger Games might actually come to this movie and be entertained by it.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a really good point. I think he has a really, really big following right
Yeah,
now, and he might attract people who usually don't go and watch movies like The Texas Chainsaw
yeah,
Massacre or The Running Man. Like,
right.
you're right. Maybe it'll bring some positive attention, and
I,
people might be like, "Whoa, this is
I
pretty
agree.
cool."
I think it's a great move, and I think hooking up with Edgar Wright is never a bad move.
Yeah,
And I
agreed.
think that it's going to be really cool to see. I hope that they keep some of the hokiness from the original, which I think if anyone could keep that, it's going to be him.
For sure.
Another sequel remake news, because that's all we do these days, is a new
I know.
Cloverfield movie.
Well, I'm not too excited about that one either.
So Cloverfield 10,
The
t-
first
10
one's great.
the first one's good. 10
Yeah,
Cloverfield Lane, also good movie.
yeah.
Allie and I just watched it on an airplane. I hadn't seen it since it came out, and Allie didn't know anything about it. She never seen the first Cloverfield.
Oh, then that's cool. That's a
Great
cool thing to
way
see. Yeah,
to not know
definitely.
whether, because she didn't know that
The
obviously
found
the aliens
footage and
are
all.
real. So
Yeah, of
10
course.
Cloverfield Lane is all about like she gets captured and she's down in the cellar or the
Yep,
the shelter, and
yep.
you don't know, and it makes you think multiple times throughout the movie, is
Cool.
he being real or is he really insane, or, and it turns out, it's both.
They are real. Yeah,
Yeah, it's both. He is insane, and then they're both real, and the
yeah.
aliens are real. So it's interesting that this is going to be a sequel
Mhm.
to the original, even though, because the Cloverfield Strain, I think is what it's called, or the Cloverfield
Oh,
Paradox.
man.
Apparently,
Okay.
that movie was really bad.
I didn't see it.
It's got
No.
red. It was like a Netflix movie or something, and
Okay.
it was like in the red on the Metacritics. I never watched it, but apparently it was pretty trash. So, the good news though is that J.J. Abrams is writing this. He's one
Okay.
of the main two writers, and he's the director of the first movie. So I'm hoping that he can bring it
Yeah.
back. I think J.J. Abrams, after Star Wars, everyone stopped talking about him and they thought he was bad because they thought he ruined it. But
Yeah.
honestly, I've always really liked J.J. Abrams. I love
Same.
the Star Trek,
Firefly
Firefly, of course, and then
was
Stage.
the first thing, and then, yeah, like you said, Star Trek,
Yeah,
great.
Star Trek, the first two, which he directed, those first two he directed,
Yeah.
incredible
Oh,
movies.
yeah, for sure.
And I love his style. I really liked oh my god, the one starts with the Overlord. That movie is also great.
I haven't seen that.
Low key, really good. If you I came in with really high expectations, and so I was
Yeah.
disappointed the first time. And then once again, I was on the plane with there was a random guy on the plane next to me watching it. I was like, you should watch that. And then I like kind of watched over his shoulder.
Really?
Yeah, and he
So
loved it, and I really actually loved it more the second time.
so one thing I wanna talk about, since you mentioned being on a plane watching a movie,
Yeah.
is it just me, or are movies always, and I almost emphasize always too much, better on a plane? Even
Okay,
if it's a shitty or bad movie,
I
I
have a theory
swear to
about this.
God, is it the pressure that messes with me, or am I
I know what it
slightly
is.
high? I
Now I'll tell you
swear.
what it is right now. It is
Yeah.
you are forced to focus.
Maybe
You're
that is
sitting
it.
there and you're just zoned
Yeah.
in. You're locked
Yeah.
in. You got nothing else to do. You are so bored that anything is better than what you're doing beforehand.
Cause like, I swear I mean, maybe that is it. Cause I'm not kidding, like, I watched, like, for instance, Solo, the Han
Yeah.
Solo movie,
Yeah, yeah.
and I absolutely loved it, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sure it's okay, but, like,
Solid
I
7 out of
loved
10.
it, but I watched it on the plane, and I was like, "Yeah, 9 out of 10," you know what I mean? Like, just I ate it up, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "This can't be that good, I'm
The
just
first time I watched
delusional or
it
something."
I was like, "Eh," and then I watched it again in a row. I was doing all of the Star Wars, so, like,
Yeah,
originals, then you do Solo, then you do Rogue One, and then you go into the prequels, then the originals, and
yeah.
I was like, "This is actually really good," and it's directed
Yeah,
by
I
Ron
thought it's
Howard.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's not too serious. I mean, it's not it's yeah. Real quick, my favorite movie that
I
have
wrote
seen on a plane, I've watched on a plane, and this is kind of funny. Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh my god, I still haven't seen that. That's
Out
hilarious.
of all
Is that
movies, it's just
Dustin
some
Hoffman?
depressing yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, some depressing movie with Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman is my favorite airplane movie, but, like,
I
I
think
ate
it's
it
just,
up.
yeah, I mean, Allie and I, last time we were on a plane, because we did a lot of traveling last year, we watched all the, like, sappy movies that Allie usually doesn't wanna watch because
Yeah,
she gets too invested, like, she gets like,
sure.
"I can't watch it because 'cause I'm gonna cry and I don't wanna do that." We're on a
Yeah.
plane and she was like, for some reason, it's like, "Let's watch them all." And so we watched, like, Fly Me to the Moon, which is like
Oh, yeah.
that movie, like, people slept on it. I think it's because it's such an old movie, even though it came
It's
out last year. Like, the style of it is like a movie that would have came out, like, in the late
yeah.
'90s or early 2000s,
Yep.
and, because I grew up at that time, it was almost nostalgic for me. I was like, "Yeah, I
Yep.
love this." Like, a good true story with the heart, you
I
know?
thought it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. That
I
was a
actually
really
liked it a
good
lot.
movie, and,
Yeah, definitely.
we cried because it's, there's,
On
like,
the plane, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
hard again, I swear it's the cabin pressure or something,
It
'cause you
might
do
be.
get emotional. You are like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing." Oh, real quick, JJ Abrams,
Yeah.
One of his writing credits, Armageddon.
No, of course.
And Gone Fishing. Do you remember that movie?
No.
So that was with Joe Pesci. I wanna say
Oh
it's
my
Joe
god.
Pesci and Danny Glover, and
Oh, that sounds
they're, like,
great.
fishing buddies.
Oh my god. That sounds like
It's
a
a
great movie.
comedy,
I
though.
would love to watch that.
I was a kid, and I remember liking it, but it's a comedy.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird for him?
Oh, for J.J.
For
Abrams,
J.J.
yes,
Abrams.
that is.
This
I really like him. I think he needs to come back because Star
Same.
Wars, it wasn't his fault, my opinion. I think that
No, I
the
agree.
first movie actually
I
upon
like it.
watching it multiple times,
Yeah.
I actually think that they were setting up for a really good trilogy.
Me too. I totally agree. The first one is really, really
Yeah.
good.
Rian
It's just
Johnson just kind of
yeah, they kinda dumped on it by the end, but
he
that
did
first
everything.
one's like,
Yeah.
whoa, you get all the nostalgic feels, you get Rey doing her thing, like, it had such a great combination that you were like, "Oh, they're destined to just dominate this."
Right.
And then you had was it Rogue One was awesome,
Yep.
and you're like, they're building so much momentum, and then it just
And
the
then there's
next
the
one
people that
tanked.
love The Last Jedi, and I just can't
Yeah,
stand them
it's
because it's so
I
bad. Just watch it. Just watch the
it's
movie. What are you
corny.
talking
It's
about?
corny. It's too
It's
corny.
corny, and they take everything that The Force Awakens was setting up, and they just
Yes, they dumped on it.
dump it just because they
Yeah,
wanted to go in a different direction. And some
yep.
people like that because they're like, they don't go in the way that you know that they were going, and it's like, nah. And
That
then
doesn't matter.
no, and then J.J. Abrams comes back and tries to steer the course back, and it was too late. So it's not his
Yeah,
fault.
agreed.
It's not
No,
his
agreed.
fault.
Yep,
Anyway,
I agree.
we're going off on Star Wars. We could do a whole episode on that.
Oh, too much.
But last thing here is that the Rust movie is actually coming out, which is
Wow.
insane. Like the
Yeah, how
trailer's
long?
dropped, and it's been years, and of course, there's literally someone serving prison time right now for this movie.
God,
So
crazy.
yeah, he was acquitted, of course. He didn't the
Yeah.
charges he wasn't acquitted, but the charges were dropped.
Mm.
He was charged with manslaughter. And so that's insane. And then
Yeah,
it was the armorer that ended up getting convicted because basically of negligence. And so she's serving an
gotcha.
18-month term. So
Wow.
not a short stint in the brig, honestly,
No.
for hopefully, I mean, I don't know. It's probably I don't want to say hopefully because of course for the family they're like please some kind of accountability, but
Yeah.
it is kind of crazy that in the year of our Lord 2023 or whatever they couldn't get it right and they Brandon Lead the cinematographer. It's just like
Right.
insane.
It is weird that
Yeah.
happened so
Like 20 years later after that happened originally.
right.
It's
And
insane.
now they're just finally coming out with it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. We'll see. I mean,
Weird.
to me, I'm like, I guess they just try to make their money worth, but honestly, it's a little tactless. But
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't know. I mean, yeah, like you said, we'll see.
yeah,
Who directed it again?
I can't remember. I think it was a newer director.
Because
And
Alec Baldwin's in it, right?
yeah, Alec Baldwin's the big one. I don't think there's anyone that's that big
I don't
afterwards.
remember. Yeah, I just remember him being in it and
Yeah.
being obviously involved with that.
Yeah, and then
Crazy.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of a last minute thing that just kind of the last couple of days that I was like, well, I gotta talk about that.
Oh,
But
yeah,
that's it.
interesting.
That's actually it for the news. We've got tons to get into next time, so
my
don't
God.
worry, there's going to be more. But right now, real fast, if we can, let's get into
Yeah.
the horror watch. We got a few movies to talk about.
Ooh.
Some of them I don't, yeah, some of them I don't have too much to say, especially the last one. But the first one, yeah, Borderline with Samara Weaving. We love her.
Yep.
And it seems like a similar kind of time for her, where it's like this kind of funny horror. It's like a kind of funny horror romance, and that's actually Ray Nicholson.
I was just gonna say that. That's
Jack
wild. Is that his
Nicholson's son.
first movie?
No. So he was in Smile 2, and he was actually great in Smile 2.
I haven't seen Smile 2 yet.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I actually very much
Better than you. Really, better than you like. I didn't expect.
Billion times better. Smile
I'm
1
very
was a solid
hesitant.
6 out of 10.
Really, I'm very hesitant on
sequels
of horror movies.
Yeah.
Because like I mean,
really
you
didn't
know,
like Smile 1. I watched it with Allie because we were just like, we gotta watch it. Like watching horror movies. And we saw it, and what I didn't like was that I guessed every single thing that was happening as it was happening.
Yeah, of course.
It was so obvious. It was so tropey.
Yeah.
It's a curse movie, so it's basically It Follows and The Ring put together. And I'm like, this is so unoriginal. And yeah, there's a couple of good scares, and I thought it was well made as far as the craft goes. but I
Sure.
just felt like the script was terrible, and I just like, well, I didn't
That's
care. Big
kinda
thing
what I
was,
expected.
yeah, kind of like The Shining. Hot take here on The Shining, the movie, is that the character doesn't really he start insane and then go from there. Like if you watch Jack Nicholson's
Yeah,
character, Jack Torrance,
interesting.
he's got a tint in his eye beginning of the
Oh, I
movie.
agree, and I almost is that just Jack Nicholson?
Right. Yeah, that's
But
true.
you're
In the book,
I was gonna
the
say in the
character is a
book,
lot
he goes crazy.
it's a lot more relatable going in,
Yep,
and that's Stephen King's biggest gripe about the movie is that it
yeah,
didn't his Jack Torrance wasn't relatable first, and that's one
agreed.
of the reasons why, like, Taxi Driver, I always bring this up over and over again. Travis Bickle, the
Yeah,
Robert De Niro's character, he starts off kind of relatable, where you're like, "Oh,
sure.
okay," and then he
Yep,
goes down this
it
rabbit
goes crazy.
hole, and that's what makes the rabbit hole so good is that you started from somewhere that you can understand.
Sure.
Um,
Man,
whereas
we could go with on and on because I think the scariest part about The Shining isn't the dad going crazy. It's
right.
if you're the kid and your dad was always crazy.
That yeah, that's a
Like,
good
if
point.
I always think of that with my kids, I'm like, "Oh my god, I hope they don't think I'm mad
Right.
or crazy." You know what I mean? Because
That makes
the
sense.
kids
It
say
takes a
things
while
and
for you
they
to
they
realize.
think yeah, they think things too, and, like, they have this image of you as a dad, and so, like, I always think of that
Mhm.
aspect, thinking like, "Man, that kid's gotta be terrified of
That's
that
a good
dad."
angle on that, honestly. I never really thought of it that way. I gotta watch it for the 10th time so that I can see it
I know,
firsthand.
me too. I haven't seen it in a while,
I
actually.
know.
It's one of
Whenever
my
Doctor
favorites,
Sleep
to be
came out, I
honest.
watched it the night before because
Mm,
I was doing it was one of my first
interesting.
reviews, actually, back in
Oh,
2019.
I haven't
I
seen Doctor
I
Sleep.
did not
You know,
like it. I gave it a 4
not
out of 10,
surprising. I'm kind
but
of like, I don't like touching old things
right.
like that.
It's Mike Flanagan, who
Mm,
is amazing now. I love
yeah.
Mike Flanagan. Like, Allie and I have gone through all the shows, like Bly Manor and Haunting Hill House and Midnight
I
Mass. Like,
haven't watched those, but
Midnight
I've
Mass
heard good
is
things.
so good.
Huh.
Anyway, he has a style. It's very much character based, and
Yeah.
it's a little bit long form. And I think that if I went back and saw Doctor Sleep with Mike Flanagan in mind, maybe
Yeah.
I would like it more.
It's long,
Like
isn't
two and
it?
a half hours. One
Yeah,
of
that
my
was another
issues with the
thing.
movie is that it was so referential to The Shining, and then it didn't really live up to it, that it made it
Sure.
worse. I've talked about this a million times, where it's like, if you're going to come after a movie that's so monolithic, you've
Yeah,
gotta be just as good, at least.
at
And that's
least.
a
Yeah.
hard bar to cut to
Oh, yeah,
pass. And if
agreed.
you don't do that, then you're actually sullying the original in some
Yeah.
ways. But anyway, Ray Nicholson is in Borderline is the point,
Yeah.
and it's like a
Yep.
funny movie. We're gonna
Cool.
see this with a couple of these. 5.4 is 63,
Yeah,
where
pretty
it's
low.
like middling on the user and slightly green on the critics. So what that says to me is that it's a totally fine movie, and you might actually like it. And
Yeah.
then we have Ash. This one's interesting. Oh, and this one's just you can only buy or rent it on Prime right now.
Oh,
I think
interesting.
it kind of went direct to streaming, so there's definitely something going on with that.
Oh, okay.
But
Whoa.
Ash is in theaters.
Is
This
that
one,
That is Aaron
it is
Paul.
Aaron Paul, and it's
Whoa.
what's her name, Eliza Gonzalez. So she's been in a few
Oh,
things.
okay.
And this one's very interesting. I definitely want to see it in theaters if I can before it goes out.
Mindbender.
Yeah,
Hmm,
so it's basically a like I think I have it in my notes here. It's a sci-fi body horror psychological thriller.
okay.
So
Interesting.
there's like a body horror element to it. I think the main
Okay.
character has amnesia, so there's like this like trippy kind of mind
Ugh,
bending thing to it, and it's very neon, like it's a very neon coded film.
cool. I'm
What
good with
I've
that.
Yeah, what I've heard about it is that it's like style over substance a little bit, where the movie's a little boring and a little
Yeah.
hard to follow because
Mm.
it's like the art house is a maybe a little it's too artsy, and it might
Oh,
sacrifice some of the
okay.
coherency.
So, quick on that.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on Drive? Do you think that's too
one
artsy,
of my
or do you
favorite
think
movies
it's
of all
just
time.
right? Okay. Me
I
too.
literally I
That's what I'm
literally
curious about.
in high
Okay, me
school,
too.
it came out when I was graduating. I think it was 2010 or 2011? I think I was a junior when it came out, and
2010, I
yeah,
think,
I
I wanna
saw it in
say.
theaters, and I loved it so much, and this is right before I went to film school, so I was just like, this is like the
Yeah.
height of cinema.
Okay.
And
So
I,
not too artsy for you.
no, 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 and I
Cool.
ended up actually buying a replica of the jacket, and I wore that for
Did
years.
you?
Yes.
Man, that's a great Halloween character, to
Oh,
be
yeah,
honest.
but
I'm
I just
hoping you did that.
it wasn't for Halloween, it was just my life. That was back when I was that much of a film bro. Anyway,
Nice, nice.
so it was actually made by the same people who made the real jacket, so it was a real replica.
Wow,
It was like
cool.
$140.
But
And
what I was getting at is 'cause,
yeah,
like, those are the kind of movies that I think if you can mix them the right way, they're
yeah,
some of the best movies,
yeah.
in my opinion, too.
Oh,
Like, those are my
100%, yeah.
style.
Yeah, yeah, the slow burns and with the really stylized, cinematography that really makes
Yeah.
you think, but at the same
Yep.
time is very visually pleasing. 100%, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but
Uh,
if it's too much, then I'm
yeah.
not into it at all. Like, what was the, oh, is it Maria or Antoinette? What's the one with, Kirsten Dunst?
Yeah, Marie Antoinette. Yeah,
I
that
did
was
not
Sofia
like that.
Coppola.
So I did not like that because I
Mhm.
felt like it was
Too
too
stylized.
artsy, too
Yeah.
art house, too much,
A
too
lot
in
of,
my
like,
face.
Lars von Trier movies, I find a little too
Yes.
artsy. I'm
They're
like,
fine, but they're a
yeah,
little, where I'm like, I don't love it.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like, this is
very much
close to
so.
something that I could like, but
Yeah, like,
you're too
he's
far.
almost there on those.
I
You're
agree.
right. Absolutely, 100%.
Speaking of a movie that's the exact opposite of anything we're talking about, Death of a Unicorn.
Oh,
Yeah, have you seen anything on this?
no.
Really? Oh,
No,
well,
I have no
it's
idea.
actually got a pretty big cast. It's got Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd and,
Yeah.
Will
Paul
Poitier.
Rudd?
Yeah, Paul Rudd.
It's a real horror movie?
So it's a horror comedy,
Okay, then
and it's like kind of so my thing is I think it might be a little too silly because the reviews are pretty middling as we can see here. It's,
yeah.
6.5, 53 Metascore. Uh,
Mm,
I've heard a lot of mid reviews about it. I remember the trailers. I
okay.
was like, this looks kind of funny.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty easy customer when it comes to comedy. So
yeah.
I think I would probably enjoy it honestly, just as a but I don't like how like fantasy-ish the unicorn looks.
Oh, it doesn't look like a unicorn.
Right. I've seen the trailer. I know what it looks like. And I'm just like, I'm not sure if I like the design. It looks a little, like I said, a little too sterile and a little
Okay.
too silly for like it's trying
Yeah.
too hard to be funny and you know it is. So it's like,
My
it's like
least favorite kind.
right. It's like
Trying
irreverent
too hard.
humor, and it's like, hey, let us let you know we're irreverent humor. Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah,
Uh,
no.
Another middling review here. We got Locked, which I actually think I would,
Ooh, Anthony Hopkins.
and Bill
And
Skarsgård.
Sam Raimi's producing and Bill
And
Skarsgård.
yep,
Okay.
yep, yep. This is all good stuff. I actually
Yeah,
think I will love this movie just because this
yeah.
is totally my kind of throwaway film.
Yep.
It's definitely gonna be a throwaway thriller. So the
Oh, so it's a
concept.
trapped in the car.
Yes, he's trapped in the car. It's a
Nice.
fancy Rolls Royce. It's
Chris
basically
was
like
it Christine, right?
yeah, yeah,
The
right,
killer
exactly.
car, something
So
like
I think
that.
Anthony
Interesting.
Hopkins is the owner of the car, and he's extremely rich, and he
Mm,
basically, locks like, he kinda almost traps him in there. If I saw the trailer, it's like, basically, he's, like, checking cars, he's just like a random car thief, and then he
mm.
goes and finds this one, gets in, and can't get out,
Oh, cool.
and so then the
Sounds
movie
like a
goes from
cool
there.
concept.
I love a good pressure cooker film. I
Yep.
definitely have, I've almost done a theme several times called Trapped, where I just do movies where it's, like, all in one
Just not
place.
that trapped.
Right. Well, now maybe I had the third one I
Yeah,
need.
you should, yeah, right.
And
Cool.
then lastly, we have The Woman in the Yard, which
Oh, I definitely have seen previews of this,
you
and it's
have?
on oh my god, all the time because
Really?
yeah, so it's always on sports previews for some reason, later at
Mm.
night. Because like, when you watch TV, you
Yeah,
get commercials during the day, and it's all kids stuff
right.
or very little of that nature of, like, a horror movie,
Yeah.
and then at night, we're watching March Madness, and
Mhm.
it comes on every other commercial. My
That's
kids are like,
crazy
"Oh, I
'cause
wanna see this." My
I
kids
have not
wanna
even
see
seen a
this so bad.
I've seen maybe
Really?
bits of a trailer,
It
but
looks horrible, I'm
yeah,
not gonna lie.
it doesn't even have user Metascore yet. Like, critics
It
haven't even touched
looks
it. It just came out.
horrible, but my kids wanna see it because they keep seeing previews of it, and it's just
Right.
some lady I mean, look, you gotta see the trailer, it's so bad,
Yeah.
like, she just appears in the woods or in the yard, and it's like, okay, what?
It's a play off of all those kind of spookers where like Woman in Black
Yeah,
and stuff like that, where
I
it's just
know.
like,
I
yeah,
those are my least favorite kind,
right.
to be honest.
Yeah, I can see that. They're not the most exciting. I don't. I pretty much like all spookers just because I like spooky stuff.
Sure.
But this one doesn't look too appealing to me, and that's saying a lot because I will watch some pretty bad ones.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yep.
hate to end on one like that, but I think we did pretty good. We hit it right about an hour, so
Yeah,
that
not
sounds
bad.
good to me. I hope you
Yeah, I
guys
feel like we
enjoyed
accomplished.
this. Yeah, and I had a really good time talking with you. We
Yeah,
could have.
absolutely, same.
Sounds like we could have gone on about a couple of these things.
For sure, easily.
Uh,
Definitely.
but yeah, next month we've got plenty to get
Can't
into
wait.
and more. There's actually tons of horror movies coming out in April, which is why I
Awesome.
was like kind of thinking like, man, should we be looking forward instead of backward? I don't know. I have to think on that. If we
No, yeah, I don't know, cause like, I mean, I'm kind of excited to see maybe it is forward, cause like, I like the idea, or at least personally, like, I wanna know what I should be watching or what I should
Yes.
go see soon or what I should be anticipating,
Right.
'cause I like the idea. I need to stay up to date with some of these horror
Yes.
movies and watch some of them
Yeah.
so that we can talk about them. So,
That's why
I
I think
I
maybe
can
if we have a low, movie news month, we
yeah,
can kind of make up time by talking about everything that came out, say, in April, and then
yep.
also what's coming out, and then we can start from there. What's coming
Yeah,
out in
cool.
May, and then the next month is what's coming out in June.
I'm gonna try to do my homework in
Yeah.
April. Maybe we can come up with a few of the horror movies coming
Yeah,
out
I
or
think
that are out that I can watch
one
so
you
we
might
can
like
actually
is
talk about
Sinners.
it.
You seen that one or you see what that's coming out? It looks interesting.
Sinners.
Yeah.
Is it a remake?
No, no, no. Michael B. Jordan is playing, twins. He's playing 2 weird
Oh,
roles,
okay,
and it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
this
Well, there
deep
is an
south.
old Sinners movie. Do you
Oh, I
remember
didn't know that.
that?
Mm-mm.
There's an go yeah, there's an old horror movie called Sinners.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah,
So
this
I
one
don't think it's a remake.
yeah, this one's interesting. It's kinda like deep south horror. So it's like a
Oh, yeah.
period piece. Think like Idlewild. Remember that old movie? It's like
Yeah,
think
yep.
Idlewild, but it's like a horror movie with like maybe vampires, like
Yeah,
about
it does,
vampires.
which I'm totally down with.
Mhm. I think
What's
it could be really good.
what was the show of the Deep South
True Blood.
on True Blood? Love
Mhm.
True Blood.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, yeah, so we'll get into that next month.
Nice.
And thanks for coming on again, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, everybody. And you
Yeah.
can check us out at the
Yes.
Movie Podium, every week, every Thursday at 9 PM live. What about you?
And then yes, you can find me on Spotify at Film Haven Reviews. That's where that on Spotify is the only, I guess, podcast hosting site that actually has me on video, so you can see
Yeah,
my
that's
episodes
cool.
on video, which is cool. And then on YouTube now, I have on a YouTube channel, so it might be hard to find my YouTube channel right now because I'm still starting out. If you search it, it might not come up. So what I would do is go onto my Instagram, and I had the link on my bio. So my Spotify and my Instagram and my YouTube is on my Instagram bio. And then, of course, if you have Apple Podcasts or any of the other podcast apps, I'm on there too. So, all right.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. See ya.